Hey guys, I'm really excited to share with you today a very important leadership principle that we often communicate with our leaders around here. One of the biggest challenges if you serve in marriage ministry is how to have hard conversations. Now, all of us tend in one of two directions. We tend to be either overly principle-centered and firm and tough with people, or we lean towards being overly compassionate. We don't want to offend them, we don't want to hurt them, and so we tend to move in one of two directions. The challenge in serving in marriage ministry, as you seek to serve and love couples, is to find that right combination of being principle-centered and tough, but at the same time delivering that in a way that is compassionate and caring. The good thing is that if we look throughout the scripture, we see example after example of people, of God's people, who do this in a really effective way. First and foremost, of course, is Jesus Christ. The way that he loves people throughout the scriptures, the way that he loves a woman at the well, the way that he speaks to the 7 churches in Revelation 2 and 3. We see him having that perfect combination of being firm and loving. We see the same thing in Nathan when he confronts David in 2 Samuel 12. We see the same thing in David time and time again in the scriptures, as he is a warrior but also a man after God's own heart in a really sensitive, caring way. And so we need to love and care for couples in the same way. The principle that we teach and communicate is called the velvet-covered brick. Tim Elmore has written a book called Habitudes, and this is one of the leadership principles that he communicates in that book. Specifically, as he references the velvet brick, he talks about 2 objects. One is the brick. Now the brick, of course, is very tough and hard. You don't want to get hit by this. The brick is God's truth. It is firm. It is unwavering. It is strong, it is tough. The other piece is the velvet. Now velvet is soft, it is tender, it is relational. Now neither one of these on their own are going to be the best way to care for or love for people. What we need to do is to put these together to be what Tim Elmore calls the velvet covered brick. And so as we seek to love couples, we need to be tough, we need to be firm, we need to be principle centered. At the same time, we need to be relational and soft and tender. Now, I was really confronted with this a few years ago. I found myself in a season of ministry where I leaned very heavily on the uncompassionate, unkind side. I would think of people as being idiots in my mind, and I would think of that and call them that behind their backs. Even sometimes I would be too firm and too harsh in my care for them. And I was confronted with it specifically when I read Mark 3, verses 1 through 6. In that passage, we see Jesus interacting with the Pharisees. And as he interacts with them, he has every reason in the world to be angry, to be uncompassionate. Yet what we see in his response is the way that we're to lead as well. Jesus was angry with them, but his anger was only for a brief moment. Rather, his compassion for them lasted on an ongoing basis. And so I found myself really confronted during that season of being very un-Christ-like in the way that I cared for couples. And so I want us to be the same way. We want to be those kind of leaders that are both the brick, being firm and tough, but also being very caring and soft and relational. One way that you can really grow in this is to ask yourself, which way do I lean? Do I tend to be more tough? Do I tend to be more tender? Am I too compassionate? Am I too tough? How can I be a more effective, more balanced leader to be the velvet brick? I would suggest also that you ask your spouse, what would your spouse say about the way that you lead and the way that you care for people? And then I want you to think through the couples who are in your life. What do they need from you? Some couples need to get the brick. Some couples need you to be more tough and more principle-centered. Some need you to be more caring and compassionate and loving. All of us need some combination of the 2 of those. And so as you lead, I want you to think, what's going to serve our couples best? Well, we hope this helps you as you seek to love and care for couples throughout marriage ministry.